What is going on YouTube? So, as we all know, the biggest goal within online business and what's kind of became like this social media norm is the 10K month, right? And if you've been doing like not even just e-commerce, just general online business, you'll know that this is like the goal marker for basically every beginner. Everyone who hasn't like kind of reached the 10K month yet. It's kind of this massive goal. Everyone kind of expects it to be like completely life changing. Now, I just kind of want to tell you from my actual experience of sort of having this massive, massive goal and desire, just like you watching right now, to sort of hit this 10K month and then actually hitting it, and then kind of just actually how it like felt in the moment, right? So, as you know already, if you watch the channel, I'm very, very open about everything on this channel, and I'm going to be completely like open with you right now. Since like my biggest winner so far in organic, I have not actually had a 10K month since then. So it's been a few months now. I'm still making very, very consistent sales. I'm truly grateful for everything I'm getting. I'm still making good amounts of money per month, like four figures or so. But I haven't actually gone into that five-figure mark yet. But again, it's because I haven't actually got like a proper winner at the moment. So we're working on that. But anyways, against the point, right? I had this massive goal since I started because obviously I'd had the clothing brand that just didn't work. And then I came into organic and kind of from the start, all of like, not even just like YouTubers, but just generally, everyone was kind of like, and it still kind of is this way, hitting this like 10K month. And, you know, basically I had this massive goal to hit it. And, the most I'd done before kind of this point of actually reaching this was like 6,000 in a month. Now, when it comes to like this 10K month goal, I don't actually know if people like mean 10K profit or 10K revenue, but I'd done 6K in revenue, and I thought, you know what, it was like one of my first products, and it was it's pretty good. But anyways, like fast forward a bit down the line, later in the year was when I actually hit my first 10K profit month. Now, when it came to this point, I'm going to tell you like right here, right now, once you achieve that goal, and this applies to basically every goal as well, by the way, no matter like what goal you've got in life, once you achieve that goal, right, you then no longer kind of value it as much as you did beforehand. And what I mean by that is like when you're coming up to it, you look at 10K in a month and you're like, it's like this glorious, like this crazy, crazy thing. It's like it almost feels out of reach, but then you like really believe in yourself. You've seen other people do it. Then you're like still thinking, this is a crazy amount. And then you go ahead and make it for yourself. And then I'm gonna like it's not exactly as it's not as in it was like not as exactly how you'd expect, but it's definitely not as like life changing you'd expect. I'm guessing obviously like the next levels like 20K profit or like 50K profit is actually then kind of a bit more life changing. But 10K in a month is not actually like it's not gonna be insane for you. Obviously it's very eye opening, it's very like good for your sort of mentality and your everything like that, because you've literally just made like you've made five figures in a month. That's crazy. But let me tell you that it's not going to be like your end goal. It shouldn't be your end goal. Just one 10K a month should not be your end goal. Obviously 10K a month, then yeah, that's great. But like that first 10K a month is not exactly going to be your end goal. You don't want that to be your end goal, because it's a good sum of money, but then you need it to be more consistent. With business, we want like consistency, unless obviously you come into like seller business for like millions, but obviously that's in the future. That's the future plan. But another thing I kind of want to say here is kind of, so we've kind of covered that. So it's good. It's an amazing thing to hit, but like I say, once you actually hit it, it's now no longer a goal. You kind of automatically, I mean, especially if you've got like the business mindset to be able to reach like this kind of point with your business, you kind of get to this point where you feel like you've actually achieved a lot. But another thing is as well, is that with this like level, it's like when you're kind of building up to the point of the 10K month, you kind of feel like, you know, once I hit one 10K month, my life's going to change. I'm going to be making consistent money, going to be printing like all the time, and it's going to be like insane. But let me tell you, I mean, speaking from experience here, as it was like my first ever time doing kind of, because bear in mind, before this sort of massive up, like sort of explosion of sales with my winner during that kind of season. It was I'd never really had anything too big. Like I say, the first kind of run I had was like 6K in a month, and you know, I'd maybe done 5 figures in revenue, or like close to that. I think it was like about 8,000. So not even hit 5 figures, right? That was like my biggest point. And then throughout the whole year, I'd kind of just been like struggling with sales. Um, and obviously that's another thing good to look back on, as well. Like considering last year that I was getting hardly any sales, and now I'm like actually making consistent sales. It's a really, really good thing to look back on. So then, it's exciting to see like the next year I want to be making even more, and etc. etc. But back to the point here, right? The 10K month, you kind of feel like coming up to it. I don't know if you do, but I definitely felt this way. That like once you hit that kind of number, like life's gonna change. And the reason for that is because so many people online have kind of glorified this amount in a month, and then you kind of like look at it, and like all these people have like supercars, everything like that. You gotta know that like they've done more than just one 10K month. They're doing like consistently, multiple 10K, maybe more a month. And you got to understand that just hitting that first one is not going to be like completely life changing. Obviously, it's great. It's a great kind of start to that high level of income journey. But you got to understand that unless you like seriously know what you're doing, like for example, now once I like get back to these like 5 figure months, which is going to be soon, I've been grinding, like really, really putting in the work. If you see my other videos, you'll know like I've literally been hardly any sleep, anything like that, just grinding, finding the right products. And once I get back up to that point, I'm going to be able to consist a lot more with it. And the reason I didn't do that in the first place, and the reason why a lot of like kind of beginners, or not even beginners, but kind of people who've just never done a crazy amount in sales before, it's going to be so hard for you to actually like consist with those sales unless your product's like carrying you. If it's based on marketing stuff, it's not going to be easy, to kind of consist with it straight away. But don't worry about that, right? Because it was the same situation with me. I was not really a beginner, but I wasn't sort of used to that like mass amount of business, because it gets kind of stressful, right? You got all these orders coming in, you're happy and everything, but then you're kind of thinking, how am I going to consist with this? How am I going to like keep up with stock? Everything like that. There's so many things circling through your mind. It gets so stressful. I think that's another reason as well where you kind of don't get to experience it as good as you'd expect, because so much happens all at once, or it did in my case anyway, that it's kind of like, you're kind of just locked in on the like a different thing, so you kind of only get to reflect on it once it's over. um but like I say, now that I've got the experience, and now that you'll have the experience once you've hit that like amount in a month, it's gonna be like more like efficient to stabilize and kind of consist with it. And the reasons for that is because the value you learn and the things you learn to get to that point in the first place is then going to be able to be used again to be able to get past that point. Okay. So I know a lot of people always say like the first 0 to 10K is always harder than the 10 to 100. And to be fair, that's kind of true. I haven't hit the 100K mark yet. And that is my goal for this year. And the way the way I plan to do that is by finding the product that is able to do numbers like the winner did, and then using the skills that I was able to learn throughout that time of having that like the winning season, so that next time I'm getting to that point, I'm not going to be stressed. I'm going to be like, okay, I've done it all before. It's all, not exactly a breeze, but it's all like been done before, so I can obviously just go ahead and do it again. So that's kind of the thing I plan to do there, and the kind of thing you want to be looking for as well. You want to be like not just looking for the 10K month just for the point of having it, but looking for this point where you can like learn a lot of things and kind of like throwing yourself into the deep end. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but just make sure you're planning ahead for when you reach this level. Don't like kind of get overwhelmed about it. Don't get like just like all stressed out, because I know it's kind of difficult when you get to like, especially if all the sales are kind of coming in at once. It is kind of difficult to get used to, but just make sure you're kind of planning ahead for it, um, because it can all happen at once. My personal experience was that like 1 or 2 months before that, I had no expectation of this happening. Like I wanted it to happen, but there was no like kind of sign that it was going to happen, if you know what I mean. And it kind of all just blew up all at once. Videos going viral, good product, sales coming in, that can literally just happen with, see, that's a little bit of motivation for you as well there, right? 2 months prior to that, I had no idea that was going to happen, right? And then, like, boom, all of a sudden, find a really good product, brought it to market, went really viral with it, made a lot of money from it, and yeah, so just that's like two things to take from the video, right? Make sure you're kind of planning ahead and you're ready for these like times where you're going to be hitting these goals, and just know that it's not the end goal. Just one big month is not your end goal. You want to go and consist, and the way you're going to do that is by learning in the process. So be grateful that you're actually learning things now before going into this, because I guarantee you, if you literally just started and you got a 10k month straight away, it'd be like so stressful. It'd be so like all over the place. So be grateful that you're in a learning process. Be grateful that even though sales haven't been crazy right now, you're still learning. You're getting all the things in, so that when it happens, you can go further and you can actually consist with it. Now, and obviously the other thing to take from the video is that be motivated. Not even be motivated. Be disciplined and be ready, because literally, you could just be turning the next corner and then it can all just like go crazy. You can be making loads of sales. It literally is within your reach. It's like, the one product, the one video concept away, stuff like that. So it's all there waiting for you, and you can just like, go grab that. So thank you for watching. If you want to follow along the journey and kind of see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing. I'm really, really thankful as well for the 100 subscribers we've got now. Really, really grateful for all of you. So thank you so much. Obviously, if you're already subscribed, but yeah. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.